The heartbeat of a patriot isn't just about waving a flag. It's not just about singing an anthem or standing during a national moment. No, the heartbeat of a patriot is sacrifice, is loyalty. It's waking up every morning and saying, I will give my best not just for myself, but for something bigger than me, for my people, for my land, for future generations. A real patriot doesn't just love their country when it's easy. A real patriot bleeds for it when it's hard. When it's hard. A real patriot serves when no one's watching. And listen to me, a real patriot doesn't wait for the perfect leader, they become the leader. That heartbeat, it's purpose, it's pain turned into progress. It's discipline, it's faith, and it's fire. So if you call yourself a patriot, make sure your heartbeat proves it. Patriotism begins with purpose, not popularity. And that's a hard truth most people don't want to face. In a world where everybody's chasing claps, likes, follows, and external validation, real patriots are driven by something deeper, something eternal. See, you don't wake up one day and call yourself a patriot just because you wear the colors or repost a quote. That's surface. That's shallow. Shallow. Real patriotism is internal. It's a fire lit deep inside your soul that says, even if nobody sees me, even if nobody praises me, I will serve, I will protect, I will sacrifice. Because purpose doesn't need an audience. Purpose is the audience. Too many people want to be seen as patriotic without putting in the work of being a patriot. They want the title, but not the burden. They want the stage, but not the scar. And you can't fake it. You can't Photoshop purpose. You can't filter it. Purpose shows up when it's just you and the hard choices. Purpose is what makes you stand firm when everyone else bows down. That's the heartbeat of a true patriot. Someone who doesn't need the spotlight because they're focused on the mission. Let me break it down. Popularity is about perception, but patriotism is about principles. It's about standing for something even when you're standing alone. Let me tell you something. Sometimes that's exactly what will happen. When your purpose is rooted in truth, it won't always be popular. Nah. When your purpose is rooted in discipline and sacrifice and legacy, people will talk, they'll laugh, they'll question you. But if you're doing it for the claps, the moment they stop clapping, you stop working. If you're doing it for likes, the moment you don't trend, you retreat. And that's not patriotism, that's performance. There are people in history whose names we barely remember, but their purpose laid the foundation for generations. Do you think the soldiers who marched through harsh winters, who slept in the cold trenches, were worried about how many followers they had? No, they were driven by something bigger, something eternal. Purpose doesn't die when the lights go out. Purpose keeps marching. Purpose keeps building. Purpose endures when popularity fades. Because listen to me, popularity is seasonal. Purpose is timeless. You gotta ask yourself, are you loyal to your country or just loyal to applause? Do you do what's right or do you do what looks right? There's a difference. Because real patriots aren't just loud, they're true. They don't jump in only when the cameras are on. They're doing the hard work when nobody's watching. They're staying committed to values, to honor, to the truth, even when it's not trending. And here's the deal. It's lonely sometimes. Purpose will isolate you because you're not going with the crowd. You're not chasing trends. You're chasing legacy. You're moving different. You're thinking long term. You're waking up early when others are sleeping. You're reading when others are scrolling. You're building when others are talking. Because when you're locked in on purpose, you understand this isn't about looking good today. It's about building something that lasts forever. I'm not saying purpose is easy. I'm saying it's worth it. I'm saying it's real. I'm saying it'll give you a reason to keep going when everything inside you wants to quit. Because when popularity leaves you, purpose will still be there. Purpose doesn't abandon you in the fire. Purpose is the reason you step into it. It's what fuels you when things get rough, when the world feels like it's against you. A patriot with purpose doesn't break in the storm, they become the storm. And I need you to hear this. Your country doesn't need another trending hashtag. Your country needs you. It needs your strength, your character, your decisions, your discipline. And it needs you to do it with humility, not ego. With consistency, not convenience. That's what makes the difference. Because purpose doesn't say, what do I get out of it? Purpose says, what can I give to it? Purpose serves. Purpose sacrifices. Purpose doesn't show up when it's convenient. It shows up when it's critical. Now, I don't care how many people are watching. If your motives aren't rooted in something real, you'll fall apart the moment it gets tough. That's why some people burn out, because they weren't lit by purpose. They were lit by applause, and applause ends. But purpose sustains. Purpose gives you strength on the days nobody's cheering for you. Purpose reminds you that this life, this mission, this calling, it's not about being seen. It's about making an impact. Some of the greatest patriots never got a statue. They never got a parade. But they lived with purpose, and they died with honor. And that's a life worth living. That's what I want for you, not empty fame, not hollow praise, but a fire so deep in your soul that you wake up every single day saying, I've got work to do. I've got people to protect. I've got a legacy to build. That's the heartbeat of a patriot. You don't need the whole world to agree with you. You just need to be aligned with the truth. Because when you know who you are and you know why you're doing it, the noise fades, the doubt fades, the fear fades, and all that's left is drive. All that's left is the mission. And I promise you, if you live with that kind of purpose, you'll leave something behind that no amount of popularity could ever touch. So today, stop chasing the applause. Stop waiting for permission. Stop asking, will they like me if I do this? And start asking, will this move my country forward? Because you're not here to be liked. You're here to be legendary. You're here to be a light. You're here to live with purpose so deep, so undeniable that it echoes through every decision you make. This is your time. This is your call. This is your heartbeat. And it better not skip a beat for approval. Let it be for purpose. Let it be for truth. Let it be for something greater than yourself. That's what makes you a patriot. That's what makes you unstoppable. You are the pulse of your nation. That's not a metaphor. That's a truth. Every decision you make, every step you take, every ounce of energy you pour into your life affects more than just you. It affects your family, your neighborhood, your city, your generation. And the sooner you realize that, the sooner you'll stop living like a spectator and start living like a difference maker. You're not here by accident. You're not just one person in the crowd. You are the heartbeat. You are the rhythm. The question is, are you keeping the nation strong, or are you letting it flatline? People walk around like their actions don't matter. They live selfishly. They move recklessly. They chase convenience. And they forget that every single choice they make is like a drumbeat in the heart of their country. Think about that. When you work with excellence, when you serve with heart, when you treat people with respect, when you show up and grind and give your best, that matters. It keeps your community alive. It pushes the country forward. But when you slack, when you cheat, when you lie, when you cut corner, that matters too. It slows everything down. It infects the pulse. It weakens the core. You gotta stop underestimating your power. You gotta stop walking around like a victim, like you're powerless to change anything. Listen to me. You are the change. You're not waiting on some leader, some law, some miracle. You are the miracle. You're the movement. You're the muscle in the chest of this country. And every time you move with honor, with courage, with discipline, the nation gets stronger. But you got to take that responsibility seriously. This isn't just about voting once every 4 years. This is about how you live every single day. Do you handle your business with integrity? Do you raise your kids to know right from wrong? Do you work your job with excellence even when nobody's watching? Do you respect the laws? Not because someone's looking over your shoulder, but because you understand the weight of your influence. Every time you say yes to doing the right thing, even when it's hard, that's your heart beating. That's your patriotism pulsing. That's your legacy echoing. You want to see change? Then become the change. Be the one who doesn't just complain about the system. Build a new one. Be the one who doesn't just share quotes about courage. Live courageously. Stop blaming the past. Stop waiting on permission. Stop assuming someone else is going to fix what's broken. That's your job. That's your calling. You've been given gifts, talents, perspective, not to waste, but to wield, not to hide, but to harness. You're supposed to carry weight. You're supposed to lead. And leadership isn't about position. It's about posture. It's about standing up, speaking out, stepping forward when it's needed most. This nation doesn't rise or fall on the shoulders of a few. It rises or falls based on the heartbeat of the many. That means your attitude matters. Your work matters. Your habits matter. Your mindset matters. Because you can't claim to love your country and live like you don't. You can't wave the flag if you're not willing to uphold the values behind. It's not about noise. It's about contribution. It's about contribution. It's about effort. It's about consistency. And let me tell you something. The heartbeat doesn't stop when it's tired. It doesn't pause when life gets hard. It keeps going. That's what you have to do. You got to show up even when you don't feel like it. You got to push forward even when the road gets steep. Because you weren't made to live average, you were made to be a lifeline, to be a pulse, to be a signal of hope, power, and possibility. You are the example someone else is watching. Maybe your little brother, maybe your cousin, maybe a stranger at your job. They're watching how you live, how you react, how you carry yourself, and whether you know it or not, you're teaching them how to beat. You're showing them how to live. So don't take that lightly. Don't walk through life like you're invisible. You're not. Your energy creates ripple effects. Your work ethic builds culture. Your words can lift someone up or tear them down. You've got power, but you got to choose how to use it. You want a better nation? Be a better neighbor. Be a better father. Be a better sister, son, student, citizen. That's how nations change. One person at a time, doing the right thing over and over again until it becomes the new standard, until it becomes the new rhythm, until the heartbeat is strong, loud, proud. But you got to stop making excuses. You got to stop saying, I'm just one person. That one person can set the tone for an entire room. That one person can shift the energy of an entire workplace. That one person can start a movement that changes generation. You've seen it. You've heard about it. But now it's your turn. Now it's your moment. Now it's your responsibility. Don't wait for the perfect conditions to do what's right. Do it now with what you have, where you are. Because the nation doesn't need perfect people. It needs passionate people, purpose-driven people, people who don't just show up when it's easy, but who rise up when it's tough. People who don't wait to be asked, but who lead from the front. That's you. That has to be you. And when it gets hard, and it will, you got to remind yourself, this isn't just for me. This is for my family. This is for my children. This is for my culture. This is for the people coming after me who will walk the roads I paved. This is for something greater. That's the heartbeat. That's the pulse. And that's what will keep you going. Look around you. The world doesn't need more talkers. It needs builders. It needs protectors. It needs dreamers who do. It needs men and women who understand their heartbeat isn't a selfish rhythm. It's a battle cry. It's a drum of progress. It's a call to action. That heartbeat is your mission. And every time you choose to love, to fight, to serve, to rise, it beats stronger. So today, don't waste your heartbeat. Don't sleep on your influence. Don't underestimate your role. You are the pulse. You are the signal. You are the strength. Let your life be a testimony that when one person moves with integrity, courage, and purpose, a nation feels it. A nation heals. A nation beats stronger. You don't have to be a hero to make history. You just have to live like your heartbeat matters. Because it does. It always has. You don't just live in a nation. You build it daily. And that's something most people don't think about. They wake up, they go through the motions, they live their lives on autopilot, not realizing that every single action, every choice, every attitude contributes to the condition of the nation they live in. A strong nation isn't built by politicians alone. It's not just about the military, the laws, the systems. It's about the people. It's about the mindset and the heart of every citizen who wakes up and decides to live with purpose, to work with excellence, and to serve with integrity. You are not just a passenger on this ship. You're part of the crew. You're part of the engine that drives it forward. And if you think you can live selfishly, carelessly, without investing in the well-being of the whole, you're mistaken. Every great nation was built not just by great leaders, but by great individuals, teachers, workers, farmers, doctors, parents, people who got up every day and gave their best, people who understood that their life wasn't isolated, that their actions ripple outward and shape the culture, the economy, the environment, the very soul of the country. Building your nation starts with how you build yourself, because a weak individual can't build a strong country. If you're not disciplined, if you're not honest, if you're not striving for excellence, then how can you expect the nation to be any different? You want a more respectful society, then speak with respect. You want less corruption, then don't cheat, don't steal, don't take shortcuts. You want more unity? Then stop dividing, stop blaming, stop tearing people down. Be the builder, not the breaker. And listen, building a nation doesn't always look big. Sometimes it's in the small, unseen moments. It's in how you treat people at work. It's in how you raise your children. It's in whether you show up on time, whether you do your job even when the boss isn't looking, whether you give your full effort into little things. Because all those little things add up. They create a culture. And culture is what shapes a country. We've got too many people sitting on the sidelines, too many people waiting for someone else to fix what's broken. But if everybody's waiting, nothing gets done. If everybody's complaining, nothing gets better. You can't just consume, you've got to contribute. You've got to be willing to roll up your sleeves and do the work. Not just for yourself, but for the future. For the people who will come after you, because this land, this country, is not just a place you occupy, it's a legacy you're part of. And that legacy is either growing stronger or falling apart, depending on how you live. You want to see real change? Then take ownership. Understand every day you're either building up or breaking down. You're either investing in your nation or draining it. You can't say you love your country and then pollute its streets. You can't say you're proud of your homeland and then exploit its resources, disrespect its people, or ignore its problems. Love is an action, not a slogan. Patriotism is a commitment, not a costume. You've got to show it in the way you live, and don't wait until the crisis hits. Don't wait until everything's falling apart to start caring. Build when it's boring. Build when it's quiet. Build when no one is watching. That's how you create something that lasts. Real builders don't just show up when the cameras are on. They're laying bricks in silence. They're working behind the scenes. They're steady, they're consistent, and they don't stop just because it's hard. Because it's hard. Because let me tell you, it will be hard. Building anything worthwhile takes time. It takes sacrifice. It takes grit. It's easy to destroy. It's easy to tear down and criticize, to sit back and say what's wrong. But it takes vision to build. It takes discipline to build. And if you're serious about being a patriot, if you're serious about honoring your homeland, then you've got to be a builder. Start where you are. You don't need a title. You don't need permission. You just need to decide that from this day forward, you're going to live like your actions matter. Because they do. You don't have to fix everything overnight, but fix what's in front of you. Make your home better. Make your school better. Make your street better. Start there. And as you grow, your impact will grow. The nation gets better when the people in it get better. And that starts with one person at a time choosing to rise. There's no nation without its people. A country is not just land. It's character. It's values. It's how we treat each other. It's how we respond to adversity. It's what we choose to prioritize. So look in the mirror. Ask yourself, what am I building today? Am I building trust or tearing it down? Am I building unity or feeding division? Am I building strength or surrendering to weakness? The answer to those questions is the answer to what kind of nation you're helping to create. Don't be fooled into thinking it's someone else's job. This isn't just about the government. This isn't just about the wealthy or the powerful. This is about you. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things through consistency, courage, and compassion. It's about showing up day after day and doing the next right thing. Not for fame, not for rewards, but because you care. Because you understand the weight of your role. Because you know that nations don't rise on dreams. They rise on discipline. You've got a role to play, and it matters. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to be present. You just have to be intentional. Every step you take, every time you refuse to give up, every time you choose hope over hate, every time you decide to stand for truth, you're building something. And eventually, all those bricks you lay will turn into something unshakable. So stop thinking like a renter and start thinking like a builder. This isn't just a place you stay. This is a place you stay. This is a place you shape. This is a home you help protect, help grow, help strengthen. And it starts with you. Not tomorrow, not next year. Not because you don't just live in a nation. You build it. You build it every day with every breath, with every decision. So let that sink in. Let it change the way you move. Let it elevate the way you think. You are a builder, and your country is your legacy. Make it strong, make it proud, make it better every single day. The heart of a patriot beats in times of crisis. That's when it truly shows. It's easy to claim loyalty when the skies are clear and the path is smooth. Anyone can wave a flag when the nation is winning, when the economy is strong, when things are stable. But the real test, the real revelation of who a person is, of whether they're a true patriot or just playing the part, happens when everything starts to fall apart. It's in the storm, in the fire, in the pressure, when the heartbeat of a patriot is most needed and most powerful. Crisis doesn't create character, it reveals it. When a country is in trouble, when a community is hurting, when people are afraid, that's not the time to run. That's the time to rise. That's what separates the pretenders from the protectors. A real patriot doesn't look at the chaos and say, that's someone else's problem. A real patriot steps up, not because they're asked, but because they understand that their presence, their strength, their leadership is part of the solution. They know their heartbeat isn't just for them, it's for others. It's a rhythm of courage, not comfort. Look around when disaster hits, when systems fail, when people panic, when uncertainty fills the air. Who's standing tall? Who's calming the storm? Who's organizing, helping, guiding, serving, sacrificing? That's the heartbeat of a patriot. It's not about how loud you shout your love for your country in times of celebration. It's how quiet, how faithfully, how relentlessly you serve it when the lights are out and the weight is heavy. Crisis demands more than emotion. It demands action. And this is where real patriots show what they're made of. When everyone else is waiting for orders, the patriot is already moving. When others are frozen in fear, the patriot is finding solutions. Not because they're superheroes, but because they've trained their heart to stay steady under pressure. Because they've developed a mindset that doesn't back down. Because their loyalty is not just a feeling, it's a function. It's not just what they believe, it's how they behave when it counts the most. And make no mistake, crisis is not just national, it's local, it's personal. Sometimes it's a flood, a fire, an economic crash. Sometimes it's a moral collapse, a breakdown in leadership, a betrayal of values. In all those moments, a patriot doesn't just wait and see. A patriot steps in. They ask, oh, what can I do? They act even when it's inconvenient, even when it's dangerous, even when no one will know. Because the heart of a patriot doesn't need applause. It needs purpose. It beats to serve. It beats to protect. It beats to heal. When there's a crisis in your neighborhood, how do you respond? When there's injustice, do you speak up? When your community is hurting, do you lend a hand? That's where it starts. You don't have to wear a uniform to be a patriot. You just have to be someone who doesn't run when others retreat, someone who stands firm when others bend, someone who gives when others take. That's what it looks like. That's what it feels like. You gotta train yourself for crisis, because it's not a matter of if it comes, it's when. Life will test your resolve. Your city will need you. Your people will cry out. And you've got to be ready, not just physically, but mentally, spiritually, emotionally. You've got to build your foundation now so when the wind comes, you don't fall. You don't get blown away. You anchor others. That heartbeat, that calm, steady beat comes from preparation, from discipline, from values that don't change with the weather. A patriot doesn't panic. A patriot plans. A patriot doesn't abandon ship. They hold the wheel steady when the waves rise. Because they understand the cost of freedom, the weight of leadership, the responsibility of citizenship, and it doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's staying on the job when everyone else quits. Sometimes it's speaking truth when it's unpopular. Sometimes it's helping your neighbor fix a broken window or organizing food for the hungry. It's in the small, consistent acts of courage that patriots reveal themselves. And over time, those acts build trust. They build resilience. They build a culture where people know they're not alone because someone somewhere is still standing strong. There will be times when you're tired, when you feel like giving up, when the pressure is so great you wonder if it's worth it. But listen to me, the heartbeat of a patriot doesn't stop when it's tired. It keeps going because it knows others depend on it. And that's what you were built for. You were made for more than comfort. You were made to carry weight, to lead under pressure, to fight for what's right. Not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. History remembers the ones who rose in crisis, the ones who didn't fold, the ones who stood when others knelt, the ones who gave when others grabbed. And you got that same power. You've got that same potential. But you got to decide what kind of heartbeat you'll have. Will it be weak and quiet, skipping when life gets rough? Or will it be strong, steady and relentless? The kind of heartbeat that leads others through the storm? Because here's the truth. In crisis, people don't follow the loudest voice. They follow the strongest heart. The one that doesn't break under pressure. The one that doesn't quit when things get dark. The one that keeps beating with faith, with honor, with integrity. That's the kind of patriot you must become. That's the kind of legacy you must leave. Don't wait for the crisis to prepare. Build yourself now. Build your courage. Build your mind. Build your voice. Because the time will come when your community needs you, your nation needs you, your people need you. And they won't be looking for someone with a perfect resume. They'll be looking for someone who can keep going when it counts. Someone who leads, who listens, who acts, not out of fear, but out of love. Not out of ego, but out of service. You were born for this. Your heartbeat isn't random. It's a drum of resilience, a rhythm of responsibility, a cadence of commitment. And in the day of crisis, let it speak louder than words. Let it guide your steps. Let it push you forward. Because when the pressure comes, and the heart of a patriot doesn't just survive, it leads, it lives, it loves, it lands. That's who you are. That's who you must be. When the storm hits, don't hide. Be the heartbeat, be the strength, be the hope your nation needs. Loyalty without action is just a lie. That's the reality most people ignore because it's easier to speak than to sacrifice. It's easier to claim allegiance than to prove it. You can say you love your country all day long, but if your actions don't match your words, that love is hollow. Real loyalty requires proof. It demands consistency. It demands sacrifice, discipline, and daily demonstration. It's not about symbolism. It's about substance. It's not about what you post online. It's about what you practice offline. If your loyalty doesn't move your hands, your feet, your heart, then it's just noise. In a world where everyone's quick to claim identity, I'm loyal, I stand for this, I believe in that, we have to stop and ask, where's the evidence? What are you doing? How are you living? What impact are you making? Real loyalty is seen, not just heard. It's felt, it's proven through actions that align with words. And when it comes to being a patriot, being loyal to your country, your people, your values, talk isn't enough. Talk is cheap. Action is the currency of commitment. You can't claim loyalty to your country and then turn your back on its needs. You can't say you're proud of where you come from, but refuse to contribute to its growth. You can't salute the flag 1 minute and then exploit the very system the flag represents them, the flag represents the next. That's not loyalty. That's betrayal dressed in false patriotism. And deep down, you know the difference? You can fool people for a while with your language, but your lifestyle will eventually expose the truth. Loyalty is built in what you do daily. It's in the way you handle responsibility, the way you treat people, the way you serve without being asked. Loyalty doesn't wait for a crisis to show up. It's consistent even when the cameras are off. Loyalty isn't showing up to work on time, doing your job with excellence, respecting the rules, building up others, protecting the weak, standing up for what's right even when no one claps for you. Loyalty is what you do when nobody's watching, because it's not about recognition, it's about integrity. Too often people confuse passion with loyalty. Just because you feel strongly about something doesn't mean you're loyal to it. Feelings fade, emotions shift, but loyalty stays. Loyalty says, even when it's hard, I'm here. Loyalty says, even when it's uncomfortable, I won't quit. Loyalty shows up when others walk away. It carries the load when others drop it. That's what it means to be loyal to your nation, to do your part, to stand in the gap, to keep building when others criticize, to keep loving when others hate. Think about the people you call loyal in your life. It's not the ones who speak the loudest. It's the ones who show up. The ones who have your back when things go wrong. The ones who support you when you're weak. That's how a patriot loves their country. Not just in good time. Not just when it's easy, but when it requires sacrifice. So ask yourself, what does your life say about your loyalty? When your country is hurting, are you helping? When your society is broken, are you part of the healing? Or are you complaining? blaming, criticizing from the sidelines. You can't be loyal and lazy at the same time. Loyalty requires energy. It requires investment. It requires ownership. It says, this is my country, and I would not abandon it. I would do my part every single day. Loyalty doesn't mean blind allegiance. It doesn't mean ignoring problems or pretending everything's perfect. In fact, real loyalty is what allows you to confront what's wrong with courage and honesty because you care enough to want better. Loyalty doesn't hide from truth. It fights for truth. It speaks truth to power. It takes risks. Because loyalty without challenge is not loyalty, it's submission. Real loyalty pushes for growth. It demands justice. It demands that we live up to our potential as individuals and as a nation. The most loyal people in history weren't always the most popular. They were the ones who stood firm when others wavered. They were the ones who refused to compromise their values. They were the ones who paid a price for their conviction. Because loyalty always costs something. It costs comfort. It costs convenience. Sometimes it costs relationships, status, even safety. But it pays back in legacy, in peace, in impact. It builds something that lasts beyond applause. It builds character, community, and culture. Don't fall for the illusion that loyalty is about dramatic gestures. It's about the quiet, consistent choices. It's about picking up trash when no one else will. It's about mentoring the next generation when no one's paying you. It's about voting, volunteering, staying informed, standing up and stepping in. That's loyalty. That's patriotism. That's what keeps a nation alive and moving forward. And if you truly love your country, prove it. Not just when it's convenient, not just during holidays or social movements, but every single day. Love it enough to critique it. Love it enough to defend it. Love it enough to serve it without needing recognition. Because loyalty isn't for show, it's for service. This world doesn't need more empty words. It needs men and women whose loyalty is so deep, so real, so steady, that it transforms everything around them. It needs people who don't just salute the flag, but live the values it represents. Freedom, justice, unity, courage. And those values aren't passive. They require effort. They require action. They require you. So today, check your heart. Check your habits. Check your commitment. Are you living like someone who's truly loyal? Or are you just saying the words without doing the work? Because if your love doesn't lead to labor, then it's not love at all. It's illusion. And the heartbeat of a patriot cannot be built on illusion. It must be built on action, on discipline, on daily dedication. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be famous. You just have to be real. Real enough to do what's right when it's hard. Real enough to serve when you're tired. Real enough to show up when you're scared. That's loyalty. That's patriotism. And that's the kind of citizen every great nation is built on. So live it, prove it, breathe it every day. Be loyal not just in your voice, but in your values, your effort, and your example. Because at the end of the day, loyalty without action is just a lie. And your country deserves the truth. A patriot understands that freedom is not free. It's one of those truths that sounds simple, but carries a weight you can feel in your chest if you really think about it. How we grow up hearing the word of freedom like it's automatic, like it just exists, because we want it to. We enjoy it every day. The ability to speak our minds, to pursue our dreams, to live without certain fear. But too often we forget that someone paid for it. Not once, not twice, but continuously. Over generations, it didn't just appear. It wasn't handed to us wrapped in a bow. It came with sacrifice, time given, sweat poured, and courage displayed in the face of danger. When you truly understand that freedom isn't free, it changes the way you treat it. You stop taking it for granted. You stop taking it for granted. You stop thinking it's guaranteed. You realize it's something you have to protect, nurture, and pass down. And that's where the patriot's heart beats differently. Because they know that freedom can fade if we don't defend it, and defending it is not always comfortable or easy. The cost of freedom comes in many forms. Sometimes it's soldiers on the battlefield. Sometimes it's activists on the streets. Sometimes it's ordinary citizens speaking truth when it's unpopular, standing against corruption, or sacrificing personal comfort to uphold the greater good. The common thread is that someone pays a price so others can enjoy the benefits. And when you really see that, you begin to feel a responsibility to do your part. You can't just be a consumer of freedom. You must be a contributor to it. Freedom has always been fragile. History shows us that whenever a people stop protecting it, they lose it. And it's not always stolen in one big moment. Sometimes it slips away slowly, in little compromises, in quiet apathy, in ignoring the signs that something's changing. That's why patriots stay alert. They're not paranoid, but they're aware. They understand that freedom is like a garden. It can flourish beautifully, but only if it's cared for. If you leave it unattended, the weeds of injustice, division, and oppression will grow. The people who fought for the freedoms we enjoy didn't do it for themselves alone. Many of them didn't even live long enough to enjoy the full results. They did it because they believed in something bigger than themselves. They believed in a future they might never see. That's the purest form of sacrifice, given for the benefit of others, even strangers, even people who might never know your name. That's what makes freedom so sacred. It's not just a right, it's a gift, paid for in advance by someone else's blood, sweat, or tears. And when you accept that gift without appreciation, without action, without the willingness to protect it, you dishonor those sacrifices. It's not enough to wave a flag or sing an anthem. You honor freedom by living in a way that keeps it alive, by participating in your community, by staying informed, by voting, by serving others, by standing up against what's wrong even when it's easier to stay quiet, by being the kind of citizen who strengthens the country instead of tearing it down from the inside. Freedom is not just about doing whatever you want. That's the mistake many people make, thinking liberty means no responsibility. True freedom is balanced by discipline. It's about the right to live how you choose while respecting the rights of others. It's about having laws that protect without controlling, and people who are willing to follow them not because they have to, but because they understand the value of order and mutual respect. Without that balance, freedom turns into chaos, and chaos always invites control. That's another reason freedom isn't free. It costs constant effort to maintain the balance. You can't ignore your civic duties and expect the system to stay strong. You can't be silent in the face of wrong and expect justice to stand on its own. Freedom requires participation from everyone, not just the government, not just the military, not just leaders. Every single citizen is a guardian of freedom. And yes, sometimes that means sacrifice. It might mean giving up some personal comfort to serve the greater good. It might mean risking popularity to speak truth. It might mean putting your own plans on hold to step in when your community needs you. Patriots understand that these are not losses. They are investments. Investments into a future where the next generation still has the same or better freedoms than we do now. The most dangerous thing for any free society is the belief that someone else will always take care of it. That's when apathy sets in. That's when corruption creeps in unnoticed. That's when rights start disappearing without a fight. A patriot never assumes freedom is self-sustaining. They know it requires watchfulness. It requires courage. It requires ordinary people doing extraordinary things, not for recognition, but because it's the right thing to do. Think about the sacrifices that have already been made. Wars fought on foreign soil. Civil rights movements that faced violence and resistance. Leaders who were imprisoned and attacked or even killed because they refused to back down. Families who lost loved ones so the rest of us could live in safety. These sacrifices weren't just physical. They were emotional, financial, and mental as well. And yet, they were made willingly because the cause of freedom was worth more than personal comfort. When you live with that perspective, your choices change. You stop thinking of freedom as an entitlement and start seeing it as a responsibility. You carry it carefully, not carelessly. You become more intentional about your actions because you realize that every choice you make either strengthens or weakens the foundation others fought to build. You understand that your daily life is part of the bigger picture. The way you treat others, the way you engage with your community, the way you speak up or stay silent. A patriot doesn't take the gift of freedom lightly. They know it's not permanent unless it's protected. They know there are forces, both external and internal, that will gladly strip it away. That's why they are willing to put themselves in positions of service, whether that's in uniform, in office, in volunteer work, or simply in being the voice that reminds others not to forget the cause. Freedom has enemies. Not just the obvious ones from outside the borders, but the subtle ones that live within. Greed, ignorance, division, apathy. These are just dangerous because they erode freedom from the inside out. And fighting them requires more than policy. It requires a united people who remember why freedom matters in the first place. If you truly value your freedom, live in a way that honors it. Use it wisely, protect it fiercely. Teach others about its cost so they understand it's not something to gamble with. And above all, be willing to sacrifice for it when necessary. Because the moment we believe freedom is free is the moment we start losing it. Patriots know better. They know freedom is precious, fragile, and worth every ounce of effort it takes to keep it alive. It's not about living in fear of losing. It's about living in gratitude that you have and in responsibility to ensure it stays. That's the mindset that keeps nations strong. That's the heartbeat of someone who understands the real cost and is willing to pay it again if needed. And if you have that kind of heart, you'll never be passive about freedom. You'll protect it with your voice, your hands, your time, your resources, and if it comes to it, your life. Because you know the truth. Freedom has never been free, and it never will be. Loyalty to country is not about convenience. It's about commitment. Anybody can claim they love their nation when it's comfortable, when it's profitable, when it costs nothing. But the moment that love is tested, when there's sacrifice involved, when there's hardship, when standing firm puts you in the line of criticism, that's when you find out if it's real. A patriot doesn't just show up for the parades and the celebration. They show up when the road gets rough, when the decisions are unpopular, when their presence matters most. Loyalty means you don't walk away when it's hard. You don't abandon your principles when it's risky. You stay rooted, even if the winds of opinion blow against you. Convenience is temporary. It's shallow. It asks, what's in it for me right now? But commitment asks, so what am I willing to give, even if I get nothing in return? That's the difference. Commitment means you're in it for the long haul. You decided that your allegiance isn't up for negotiation, that your service to your country is not dependent on personal gain. This kind of loyalty doesn't fade when times get tough. It shines bright because true patriots know that a nation's strength is built in its hardest seasons, and that those seasons demand citizens who refuse to give up. The truth is, loyalty to country often requires you to do things that are inconvenient. It means paying attention when it would be easier to stay distracted. It means participating in civic duties when you rather focus on your own plans. It means standing up for what's right, even when it costs you friends, money, or comfort. Loyalty isn't glamorous. Sometimes it's quiet, behind the scenes, unseen by the masses, but it's powerful because it's consistent. A loyal citizen doesn't serve only when the cameras are rolling. They serve because their values compel them to, even if no one ever notices. Commitment to your country also means you accept responsibility for its flaws. That's a hard truth for some to swallow. It's easy to be loyal to a perfect image of your nation, but real loyalty stands with the truth, even the uncomfortable parts. A patriot doesn't ignore the cracks in the foundation. They work to repair them. They don't pretend everything is fine when it's not. They confront the problems with courage and honesty because that's what love looks like. Blind loyalty isn't loyalty at all. It's denial to it all. Real loyalty sees the truth and stays committed to making things better. There's also a personal cost to this kind of loyalty. It might mean you sacrifice opportunity because your principles won't allow you to compromise. It might mean you turn down offers or platforms that could elevate you because they don't align with the values you know your country needs to stand for. Commitment to country isn't about climbing your own ladder. It's about holding the ladder steady so others can climb too. That mindset shifts everything. It changes your priorities, your decisions, and your legacy. And this kind of loyalty doesn't just exist in grand gesture. It's proven in daily choices. It's in how you speak about your country when it's not in the room. In other words, when you're with people who might not share your respect for it. It's in how you represent in your work, your community, and your conduct. It's in whether you follow the rules when no one is watching. Small acts of commitment build the character of a patriot just as much as big public displays. The problem with convenience-based loyalty is that it's conditional. It says, I'm with you as long as it's good for me. But the moment things turn, that kind of loyalty vanishes. History is full of examples of people and nations weakened because their citizens only stayed loyal during the easy times. The strongest nations are the ones with citizens whose loyalty doesn't depend on comfort. Those are the people who rebuild after disasters, who volunteer when resources are scarce, who step up when the work is heavy and the reward is light. Commitment also means you understand that your country is bigger than its current leaders or policies. Too many people confuse loyalty to a country with loyalty to a politician or moment in history. A true patriot's loyalty is deeper. It's to the ideals, the freedoms, and the principles that the country was built on. Leaders change, policies shift, seasons pass, but the foundation remains. And it's your commitment to that foundation that matters most. That's what allows you to serve consistently, even if you don't agree with everything happening at the moment. One of the most defining traits of loyalty to country is that it's proactive, not reactive. Not reactive. You don't just wait for a crisis to appear before you show your commitment. You build the kind of habits, relationships, and responsibility that keep the country strong every day. It's like maintaining a home. You don't wait for the roof to cave in before you care for it. You fix the small problems before they become big ones. You take care of what's yours because you value it, not because disaster forces you to. That's what true commitment looks like in a patriot's heart. And there's an emotional side to this too. Loyalty means you don't give up hope. You don't let frustration turn into cynicism that robs you of action. You can be critical of your country and still be committed to it. In fact, that's part of loyalty. Believe enough in its potential to call it higher. Some people think criticism means disloyalty, but in truth, silence in the face of wrong is the real betrayal. A patriot loves their country enough to challenge it, to speak up, to keep pushing it toward its ideals. This is why loyalty to country is so rare, because it asks for more than emotion. It demands endurance. It demands that you show up when the headlines fade, when the celebrations are over, and when the work gets hard. It asks you to think beyond your own lifetime and to build something that outlives you. It forces you to see yourself as part of a chain, connected to those who came before you and those who will come after you, and to act in a way that strengthens every link. In the end, loyalty to country isn't about a feeling. It's about a decision you make every single day. You decide to put the needs of the nation alongside your own. You decide to serve even when it's inconvenient. You decide to stay when it's easier to walk away. You decide to believe in the ideals even when the reality isn't perfect. And you decide that your commitment will be measured not in words, but in consistent action over a lifetime. When you choose that kind of loyalty, you become part of something unshakable. You become the reason a country can weather storm, rebuild after loss, and keep moving toward its vision. You become a living example of what it means to love something enough to sacrifice for it. And that's the heart of it. Loyalty to country is not about convenience. It's about commitment. It's about commitment. It's about showing up for your nation in the hard times, not just the easy one. It's about standing firm in your principle, your service, and your belief that the ideals you fight for are worth every ounce of effort you can give. That's the kind of loyalty that shapes she. That's the kind of loyalty that shapes she. That's the kind of loyalty that keeps a nation free.